I guess we'll get started. I'll call the meeting to order. It's June 24th, 2024. This is a meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee at Wolfeboro Town Library. We do the Pledge of Allegiance, and Tom Bell, if you could start us in it.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Okay, do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next one is a discussion item on filling the Budget Committee membership until the next election that Paul O'Brien, he went from the Budget Committee to the Selectman's office, and we posted the position in the Granite State News, Jim?
I believe it was the Granite State News and then I believe it was website.
The website? Okay. And we kept the applications open until, I believe it was June 20th. And Jim, how many applications did you receive?
I believe we only received one.
Just one? Okay. And who was that from?
Steve Johnson.
Okay. So only having one application, that's probably the gentleman that we should probably decide if you want to have Steve on the committee. As you know, Steve was on the committee for several years prior to going off. And I make a motion to recommend Steve Johnson to fill the open term.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Lynn, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Carol Parker?
Yeah.
Bob Tupper?
Yes.
John McDonald?
Yes.
Bob O'Halloran?
Yes.
Tom Bell?
Yes.
Matt Lash?
Yes.
Loman?
Yes.
And Brian Sheets?
Yes.
Okay. Steve was nominated unanimously. Steve, if you want to come up. Yeah, well, you can't do any voting until you get sworn in.
Okay, so I need to go Pat's office?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least we'll let you belly up to the
But you come and join us. Steve, welcome back, and thanks for coming back.
input or
Appreciate it.
my 2 cents or...
That was the Queenland way.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Okay, yes, sir.
Steve, our next meeting is July 22nd, so you got plenty of time to get sworn in.
22nd, okay.
Yes.
I'll let Pat know tomorrow morning.
John, did you want to assign Steve one of my departments, because I got 3?
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
What have you got, police, fire?
No, I didn't.
Parks and
But I have
Rec,
library
Libby
and
and
a couple
Library.
others.
And Libby, I think.
Give me library.
What you got, library, Libby?
Amongst our.
Yeah, I'll go on Libby. Help you out. Okay,
Are we removing that?
yeah, take Matt off of Libby, I'll go on Libby.
And where do we want to put Steve?
We'll get to Steve in just a
Oh.
second. Okay, we're going to talk about the ambulance contract. Bob Tuffer's going to be the lead guy from us. And Bob, is there someone in particular you'd like to go with you that you can work with on the, not you can't work with anybody, but anyone that you think would help out on the committee?
Well, I spoke with Jim Pinio today, and Jim mentioned to me that Bob Loman had reached out to him, interested in it, and I actually was not thinking about Bob because he is on the CIP committee, and I felt that would have been a bit of a overload. However, since you reached out and inquired about it, you're my choice.
Thank you. It's not an overload. I don't do anything during the day. Or at night. I look at the wall, so I'm available.
Then, do you want a motion on that, John?
Yeah.
I make a motion to appoint Bob Loman onto the ad hoc ambulance evaluation committee with me.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of appointing Bob Lohman as the second person in the ad hoc ambulance committee, please say aye.
Aye.
I can't stress the importance of this committee for you guys. This is going to be probably one of the biggest things we've done, biggest change in the community that we've done since I've been here, at least in my personal opinion. A couple of things that people have asked me in the community that they'd like to have answered. The question is why? Why are stewards leaving? What's the reason for that? So you might want to see if you could get that answer. Because they're not leaving other communities, they seem just to be leaving this one. And people would like to know why they're doing this. If, you know, is it because we're not paying enough money, or you know, what's the situation? You know, maybe you guys will have a chance to talk to stewards as a committee to find out the exact reason.
Hope so.
If there's anything we can do to salvage the relationship, if there's a problem with the relationship. I'm not saying there is, but everything happened really quickly.
Well, we're pretty much going to have to talk to stewards because they've got all the backup data, which
Yeah.
we're going to eventually need to put together a business plan. So, you know, we're going to have to deal with them.
Yeah.
So, in answer to your
Yeah.
question, we'll follow up and find out what the deal is.
Do you have a question, Tom?
Not a question, but I understand too, there's an issue of housing, and there's a resistance to house stewards anywhere else but like where they are. Not so much by stewards, but perhaps by others. So, I mean, that's something I think that needs to be explored. You know, if we were to reduce the cost that stewards incurs by housing them behind the laundromat, somewhere else in the new safety building, perhaps, is that a way to, you know,
Yeah.
reduce their expenses and make it more profitable for them?
Okay, any more, Jim, did you want to say anything about that committee? Since it's going to fall, well, you're not going to be in charge of it or anything, right? Did you want to make any comments at all on it?
No, I would just state that the goal going forward is to have the Board of Selectmen appoint 2 citizen members to this committee at the July 10th meeting, and I would anticipate the following week the committee will meet, talk about some ground rules and whatnot. And there is a significant amount of documents on the webpage for you to review under the tab ambulance evaluation information. So there's a lot of information there for you to review. We're currently working, hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have a good idea where we are with bringing in a consultant to look at the path forward. And we'll get moving on it.
Where do you look for a consultant? What's the title, what's the specialty or whatever?
So we put out an RFP throughout New England for services to come in and evaluate whether or not we should continue with contracted operations, or whether we should, as a town, look at taking on ambulance services. We've received 2 bidders on that. And we're actually conducting an interview on Friday and conversation about it Friday. So I hope to have more information from that point.
Who do those people talk to? Are they just looking at paper bids?
So they will have developed a scope of work. The scope of work will look at the plan that we've put together as a town, and they will look at what some of the demographics are, what some of the revenue streams may be, what some of the challenges may be. They'll interview staff, they'll interview citizens, they'll interview Board of Selectmen, they'll probably interview Budget Committee, and they'll come forward and most likely work with this committee, this ad hoc committee, to make a recommendation as to what the path forward for the town should be. And I think the takeaway on it is it's about being able to provide the best quality service to the citizens for the long term with a level of stability.
We tossed in reasonable price also,
Well, that's
as part of that.
sustainability.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Any question, would they be, are there best practices they'd be looking at? Ambulance service and
So ambulance services work under a heavy set of protocols developed by the state of New Hampshire Bureau of EMS. So as far as operating an ambulance and patient care, that would fall under that. If you're looking at staffing levels and level of providers, that really boils down to looking at the data and making a determination. Level of acuity, level of service. Is Huggins going to continue to maintain their paramedic intercept service? Are they going to do away with it? What's the future of that look like? But I think the takeaway would be, if we're going to do it in-house, they're going to look at, the biggest thing they'll be looking at is staffing levels.
just a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
I noticed in the RFP, there was, in terms of the service, it was, you were looking for paramedics, advanced EMTs, and EMTs. Under the current contract, do we get that level of service?
Under the current contract, I believe they are always staffed at the advanced level, and there is always supposed to be a paramedic available in the town of Wolfeboro through the current contract with Stewart's Ambulance.
Hey, John, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask for a question? Is it a state mandate that towns have ambulance service?
No?
Okay, so we do this because we want to, not because we have to.
Well, I think we do this because we have to, because it's the right thing to do to provide to the citizens of the community.
Okay.
That would be my response to that.
Right. And my response to that would be, as one who's been here 70-plus years, we got along fine. The level of population hasn't changed year-round that much from 40 years ago. Summertime, yeah, but we managed somehow. So I'd like to engage, have the ad hoc committee engage in an honest conversation, and like you said, look at the data and see how many calls we really get and to what level. I mean, I know we want to do the best we can, but to John's point, feasibility as far as like out-of-pocket cost to fund it should be considered at the same time. So that's all. I'm good. Thanks, Jim.
I think if you were to go to that ad hoc or the webpage site and you were to pull up some of the information, a lot of those data points are there for people to be able to review. Those data points have been pulled from the fire department, Stewart's Ambulance. The one thing that is not identified within those is the level of acuity. In other words, is it a BLS, is it an ALS1, an ALS2, is it a paramedic call?
Tell me what those are. I'm not, all those things mean nothing.
It's either a paramedic call,
Yep.
which can administer a variety of medications, or it's a lesser level advanced provider which can administer a certain amount of medications, which falls under the protocols that Matt was just talking about, or it's a BLS call, which is simply oxygen and maybe some minor transport issues related to it, but those items are not identified.
Thank you.
John, I got something.
Yeah.
John, I'm wondering, should you and I and Bob Lohman meet prior to, or at least soon anyway, if it's appropriate, so you can flesh out your concerns and some of the questions you may have, so we can bring those questions and concerns to the committee.
Yeah, I'd like to have everybody maybe do that on the budget committee, if you can think of anything. Maybe email the two Bobs and ask. I know the biggest question people ask me is why they're leaving at this time. That's the biggest one I have.
Okay, okay.
And if you guys have something, just drop them an email so they can ask and find out the information for you.
Please,
Yeah.
all the questions you
Yeah.
can think of, because, you know,
Yeah, this thing
better we
is-
get them now than later.
Yeah. You have all the answers.
John?
Yes, I'm sorry, Linda.
One thing I can tell you is, as the cost of ambulance service has gone up, the service that the town has is less. When I first went on the board, it was 2 ambulances in town designated just for Wolfeboro. That got too expensive. My understanding, we have 1 ambulance, and the other one is at the hospital. Am I correct, Jim?
So we have 2 ambulances in the town of Wolfeboro. One of them is essentially dedicated to transfers out of the hospital, is my understanding. So if there's not a transfer going out of the hospital, yeah, sure, that ambulance can provide services in the town of Wolfeboro. You know, previous to that, there was 2 ambulances dedicated wholly to the town. Those 2 ambulances covered Wolfeboro and Tuftonboro. It's my understanding that Stewart's may be looking at creating a base in Tuftonboro as well in the future. And again, I think part of that has to do with their ability to be able to service Providence Hospital.
Should questions be directed to Leanne, and then, because are we creating a meeting if everybody is talking about this on emails?
I believe if they just send the email to Mr. Tuffer, that would be fine. As long as there's
As long as it's not a quorum.
a quorum, as
Yeah.
long as they just send it to Mr. Tuffer, that should be fine.
If I may, until such time as the total committee personnel have been identified, because we don't have a chairman. I'm looking at your letter here, that the member of the Board of Selectmen will be the committee chair. Has that been established?
Not yet. Like I said, the goal here is to get the committee seated at the July 10th meeting, and then the following week to have a kickoff meeting where some ground rules are laid out and some expectations.
Good.
Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
I think we need to know what the hierarchy is, get it all straightened out.
Yeah, I imagine with the committee will probably vote on who the chairman is, Jim. Is that how it's going to work? Or will the selectmen appoint somebody as chairman?
I believe that it should be a Board of Selectmen member on this. This is a huge decision. I don't think it should be a staff person. So I think that the Board of Selectmen have their 2 representatives, and they can have that discussion when they're in their first organizational meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay. Can you guys just copy both Bobs with your questions? And they can divvy it up, just in case one of them misses a meeting, can't attend. Okay, we all set on that, on the ambulance? Other business, you should have got the expenditure report. Casey asked to be excused from tonight's meeting. I said it was okay unless there was something drastic as far as considering the numbers, and she said there wasn't. Jim, do you want to just give a little talk about these, or?
Sure. So at this point, as you're well aware, we're in a default budget. We do feel like we're in a solid position as we go through year to date with the budget. We have some departments that are currently understaffed. We're having difficulty getting those positions staffed, therefore we're saving some money there. However, at the same time, we're incurring some overtime costs. You know, right now, it all looks good. One of the biggest questions that you've probably heard out in the board meetings is regarding the arena. Moving forward at this time, the Pop Whalen, they are at the brink of breaking even based on our projections that we have right now. Their budget is tight as far as expenses, but at the end of the day, you know, the revenues that we projected, looks like we're going to come very close to landing that. We're trying to find some additional programming in the ice season to garner additional revenues. And I believe so far this summer, with just what has been contracted for time in the arena, we're going to be about $9,000 worth of revenue, which is a huge increase from previous. It's still not meeting the business plan goal of 30,000, but it's a huge step in the right direction. And that does not include Parks and Rec programming that takes place in there. So, for example, this weekend they had the summer kickoff in there, and that we don't charge the Parks and Rec department for that. So the place is being used. We are optimistic about it. The other item that you may have heard financially that you should probably be aware of, under state statute, the Board of Selectmen cannot enter into lease agreements. Last year, we spent a significant amount of money on the groomer for Abenaki, which is it's closing in on 30 years old. I think last year we spent $18,000 in repairs on that machine. We were able to find a used machine. They have changed the statute to allow capital reserve funds to be utilized for lease purchases as long as the agents to expend approve it. The agents to expend, the Board of Selectmen have approved that. So I believe it's a 4-year lease we're entering into to purchase a groomer. So that's something that you will see. Other than that, like I said, we're in pretty good shape financially. And I believe Casey will be able to speak to it better in July when she's here. I can try to answer any questions that you have or get them answered for you.
So that lease on the groom, will that show up in the budget?
It will show up in the budget.
How much is that? Any idea what that's going to be?
I want to say, John, like 22,000.
Go with that.
That's what I want to say.
And then at the end of the 4 years, we own it?
We own it.
And is it a fairly, I don't want to...
Yeah, so the machine that we are getting rid of has, I believe, 14,000 hours on it. This machine that we're picking up, I believe, has 3,000 hours on it. We put about 400 hours on it a year.
Yeah.
The machine, I believe, is a 2021. It's coming from out west. So it's a Penroth machine. They have a sales rep right out of Concord that we deal with where we can get parts. So hopefully the maintenance costs going into 2025 for that machine will be no longer upon us.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I just actually found this out, the director has found a grant. This machine is actually old enough where he can apply for a grant because the new machine has emissions controls on it, and he may be able to get some grant funding to help offset some of the costs because of doing away with a piece of equipment that
Pollutes.
I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
Stinks up there.
It's not as
Do we have to get a
environmentally
sign over the ski area?
I don't know if we will or not.
A thank you sign?
I don't know if we will or not. Probably not.
Fresh Air Fund.
Yeah. Anything else you want to...
I think that's it.
Okay. How are you looking on your budget for 2025?
We haven't even started yet.
Started that?
They haven't started yet. So the budget guidelines will most likely go to the Board of Selectmen. Second meeting in July, which will be at July 25th.
Okay.
So they should approve the budget guidelines at that point, and hopefully we'll be off the races.
Okay, any other questions while Jim's here?
No.
No. Okay, well, we're really moving on tonight. Approval of the minutes for May 20th, 2024. Does anybody want to change anything.
Did you change the appointed collection?
And make a motion that we,
We're gonna,
It's not a change to the minutes, he just wants to make sure that we address the
yeah.
department change.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
just was going to make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written for May 20th, 2024, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All set. Yeah. Steve, the last time you were with us, what committee you were on, do you remember?
Nope. Wherever you get a hold, John, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the electric department
Okay.
and also on the public works department.
You're with me, pal.
All right, pal.
Okay?
Public Works and Electric.
Yeah. So I'm going to come off of it, and Bob, it's going to be Bob and Steve. It's going to be Steve and I on the electric department, and I'll be on the Libby Museum with Brian.
Yep.
Okay, does anyone have anything else?
Yes, I do have.
Okay.
This is going to sound really strange, but I'm going to say it anyway. The guys in the Public Works Department and the Water Department's over, do they have union members? Yes, AFC and SC? They are. I thought they were, but I've been hearing things like they aren't, but they are. Okay.
Yep, they are.
I wanted to be sure.
Yep.
I run because I had a couple of thoughts, but
Anybody else have any other questions?
I would just say, I saw the work they did on Brackett. It went pretty good. Brackett Road.
Oh,
Pretty nice.
Good. We're plugging away.
Safety building's looking pretty good?
They're into phase 2 now. Hopefully that'll be airtight before October. At this point, we know of no strings associated with the grant of the $1 million from the federal government. So we're continuing to plug away. You know, we still know that we're going to have some overages. Still don't have that pinned down yet. And that's going to be hard to really figure out until they get into phase 3 and they start dismantling the existing brick building. Then we'll have a real good handle on where that is. That should hopefully be in the November timeframe. The new dispatch console is on order. And I think we're in a good position. You know, the place, there are some site challenges because you're putting a huge piece of building on a small piece of real estate. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a facility that'll serve the community well for many years to come. Not everybody's going to be happy with it.
Yeah. When are they going to move over to the hospital, the dispatch?
They're actually not.
They're not going to.
We are actually going to be, so once phase 2 is complete, they will move into a portion of phase 2, which will actually save us money because we would have had to run fiber across the street. So that is a cost-saving measures for us.
So that'll be temporary where they're moving into phase 2, that's a temporary?
Yeah.
most of the cost overrun has been the steel, hasn't it, and what's already been built?
Most of it has been. That is, well, let me rephrase that. That has eaten up the bulk of our contingency. So,
So what's left is still a little bit of a wild card, but yeah.
yeah, the fire department has got a list to me of what some of their anticipated soft costs will be. Police department, we won't know for a period of time. I think the hardest one there is going to be security cameras. Those are going to be very, very expensive.
Can't do a my door thing.
Well, we are kind of doing that right now. So
Is that for the whole building, outside and everything?
the 360-degree camera around the building and certain places within the building will have camera coverage.
What are you estimating, rough estimate, you know?
The cameras are going to be close to $100,000 alone.
Okay. Any other questions? I want a friend from the selectmen. You guys have anything you want to contribute this evening?
I don't have
Nice to have Mr. DeShays back again. Thank you for coming back. Linda?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I do have a question. Do we have a serious problem of cyanobacteria in Cary Beach?
We had a cyanobacteria outbreak, and
Carrie
At-
and Brewster.
at Cary was far worse than Brewster, because I saw it. And cyanobacteria can be there, and a half hour later it can be gone. And they come back in a week. All of them have been lifted off of Wentworth, and it's been bouncing all over Winnipesaukee, but it should be cleared. I haven't heard it being back there.
Has anybody determined, I suppose somebody determined what causes it? Is it because the water doesn't have a chance to flush itself out, or what's?
Not as much ice, warmer temperatures is what they thought. They think that, and this is where they're, they really don't totally understand, but they are now questioning whether there's phosphorus in the pollen, which is adding to the growth of the cyanobacteria.
So what's occurring, as far as everybody is concerned at this point, is that it's a natural occurrence and not being caused by anything that we
Oh,
are?
yes, it's caused by us all the time.
Yeah.
Well, no.
No, I am. I'm dead serious. Stormwater runoff,
Right.
Okay.
not a septic
Green
system.
grass down at the water.
Right,
Give me a break.
yeah. I mean,
Overdevelopment around the lake in general.
Well, no, I understand that.
Fertilizing.
But
But
I
it's-
guess I'm saying for that Chico thing, we did some stuff in there to.
But it doesn't stop all the runoff in the
Okay.
lake. It doesn't stop the not as much ice cover, warmer temperature, water warmer, which all leads to
Okay.
more cyanobacteria.
Okay.
One of the heads of DES told me about a year and a half ago, that overdevelopment around the lake now causes more damage than direct discharge used to be from factories in the bygone era.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true.
So what we need to do is spend more time educating those people around the lake and throughout the whole watershed, because we're all part of it. So somebody up on the mountain can do the same thing. So I think you'll see Wolfeboro Waters push more education. And we're going to be meeting this coming Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and anybody who's interested, come on over, and we'll be at the Great Hall and join us.
How do we get that education out to the public?
We have a newsletter. We're going to be working on it more and more. You got New Hampshire Lakes, you got Lake Winnipesaukee, you got Wentworth Watershed. All their websites have information. Wolfeboro Waters will be talking about that and looking at how we move forward. And some of our projects, we're starting to look at the town projects before they go off to make sure we're getting enough ways to filter the pollutants out, or the nutrients out. And one of the biggest ones you should look at is what happened at Hunter's. They just put a huge filtration basin down at the bottom of their parking lot, and it's probably saving a lot of phosphorus and stuff going, and we need more of that.
UNH is doing a large study right now on how nutrients get stirred up on the shore and in the bottom of the lake. The University of Wisconsin and some colleges in Wisconsin, because they're the state of 1,000 lakes, there's a lot of information if you look in Wisconsin. There's a lot of information in Minnesota. There's a lot of information, believe it or not, down in Connecticut on cyanobacteria, what causes it, how some of it's related to stirring up sediments that have had phosphorus and nitrogen in them for years and years and years. The size of our boats are getting larger. They throw larger wakes. They stir up sediment. It
And also,
feeds the algae.
how much aluminum is in the soil. Aluminum will bind the the phosphorus to it, and if you have a lot of that, then you don't have as much phosphorus. Wolfeboro Waters in the town of Wolfeboro is working with UNH. Some of our equipment is down there, and they're using some of our samples to do some genetic testing. We've been part of their water collection program for years. So we're pushing. We use Bigelow Labs in Maine, who can do even more types of testing for us. So we're working as hard as we can. But come join us on Wednesday at 1 at the Great Hall.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Public comment. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have an enjoyable 4th of July.